Hello, and welcome to the first episode of DiversiTEA. My name is Tyler Baker, and I am joined today by my co-host, Evelyn Nitch Griffin.
That's me.
You're probably wondering, why do we have 3 faculty members sitting at a table? One of the things that matters most to us is ensuring that we have an opportunity to dialogue, learn from one another, and explore the diverse tapestry of campus. And what better way to do that than over a cup of tea, which to me represents being able to sit down, have good conversation, and come together, even though you may have diverse perspectives.
I concur. Cheers, Tyler.
Cheers. And then Evelyn, who are we joined by today?
Well, we happen to be joined by Hann Bingham Brunner, who is a new assistant professor this semester here at Landmark College. Nice to have you joining us, Hann.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
The question I have for you is, first question, what kind of tea do you drink?
Right now, I'm drinking Arizona green tea from the bookstore. They've got a good stash in there. I also, in the mornings, I enjoy peach ginger black tea. Very tasty, very good stuff. I'm a big tea drinker, though.
What makes you a big tea drinker?
I can't have coffee. Coffee is too much caffeine. Tea is just enough caffeine.
That's a great reason.
It is.
And then Eve, what about you? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking chamomile tea. I don't like tea. I do not generally drink tea. But I find chamomile is soothing to my riotous stomach. So I drink it a lot these days, just for the soothing effects, and has nothing to do with flavor or taste.
And I'm drinking coffee flavored tea. Anyway, Evelyn.
That's me.
What about Hann? What is going on with Hann? How did Hann get here?
How did Hann get here? That's what I've been wondering. I've been really interested to hear your landmark origin story, Hann.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was finishing my PhD, looking for jobs, which was, let me tell you, pretty stressful to do those at the same time. Don't recommend it. Not that you really get a choice. But I was looking for jobs. I had this alert pop up one day, and it said, Landmark College is looking for an assistant professor of writing. We're a university that serves neurodivergent students. And I was like, neurodivergent students? I am a neurodivergent student. Oh my word. That's so cool. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, I think this could be the job for me. I've got all these rejections from all these colleges, but wow, I'm going to apply to this. And actually, I wrote my job application in about half an hour and sent it in. And 2 weeks later, I heard from somebody and they said, hey, we want to talk to you. And I said, great. And they brought me to campus and I thought it was awesome. And here I am.
What was that journey like, right? Coming all the way from Oklahoma to, Putney, Vermont.
Well, for one, I got a flat tire on the first day on the road. I brought my Prius up here and, Vermont's the perfect place for a Prius. So
perfect place for a flat tire too.
Yeah. I actually got the flat tire in Missouri.
Wow.
And it was over 100 degrees and roadside assistance took over an hour. So it was an interesting time getting here, but I'm here now and I'm really liking it here. It's pretty different than Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City has more people in it than the entire state of Vermont. I found out.
Yep.
People think about Oklahoma as being rural, but actually no. This is a lot more rural than Oklahoma was.
Well, where you were in Oklahoma.
Where I was in Oklahoma. There are very rural parts of Oklahoma too.
Yeah.
I got one for you, Hann. One of the things I've been wondering really since I met you is, which do you prefer most, apples or oranges?
See, and that's a tough one because I'm allergic to apples and I'm allergic to oranges. I have a lot of food sensitivities and food allergies. I'm celiac. I can't have dairy, can't have soy, can't have peanuts. So, it's complicated, but that's just part of, those kinds of things actually occur a lot in neurodivergent people. And genetically, things just all kind of go together. They're still looking into why that is. We don't really know, but I know I'm not the only one, which is nice.
Thank you.
No, you're absolutely not the only one.
Not at all.
No apples, no oranges, right? What's the closest thing you can have?
Pineapple is safe and really, really dang good. Although, if you eat enough, your mouth still feels kind of funny, even if you're not allergic to it.
That's true.
So pineapple in moderation is actually what I've been getting at the Fireside Cafe most afternoons. The workers know me now. I walk in and I get pineapple and leave.
Yeah. So, you know, you can have pineapple. What other things are you like interested in, either scholarly or otherwise?
Well, most of my students know this, but I'm very into Hello Kitty. If you come to my office, it's actually not my whole collection because a lot of it has to live with me in my apartment. But I have 3 Hello Kitty tattoos, and because I also like the number 3. So you got to do things in 3s because I'm neurodivergent. And actually, when I was doing one of my evaluations for neurodivergent conditions, I had screen blur on at first because I was starting on Zoom. And I turned the screen blur off, and the doctor said, "Wow, you really do like Hello Kitty, huh?" Because the whole wall behind me was covered in plush Hello Kitties. But like academically, I'm really interested in autism and talking about researching how autistic people need to be seen as like authorities about autism. I actually talked about that in the cafeteria to some faculty a couple weeks ago.
Oh, great.
And have that article published, actually. And I'm also really interested in like disability identity, and especially disability identity looking at neurodivergence and also looking at other things like chronic illness, basically like these groups that we're told are part of disability, but people in those groups don't necessarily see themselves in disability community all the time.
Oh, that's really great. Right. So you always, you know, try to like, you know, bring awareness to that, you know, when conversations about diversity are happening.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely one of my like kind of big things coming in, was focusing on, and in my teaching, that's always been a big focus. That's part of how I ended up here too. And I think hopefully what kind of sold me in my interview was that even at other institutions, I was really focused on accessibility in the classroom and universal design teaching practices.
Yeah.
And actually, there's some research I'm working with a couple of friends from my old university about universal design in just any classroom. So it's not just like at Landmark we do universal design, but I'm at Landmark because I was already trying to focus on these things and work with students with a lot of different conditions or neurodivergent students, whatever. But yeah, that's kind of where I bring my focus.
You mentioned universal design, you know, a bunch. I know we talk about it here as faculty members, right? I'm very curious about, you know, how the students feel about, you know, universal design.
Yeah.
And how they are feeling that, you know, be represented. If you had to tell the students, you know, one thing about universal design that you try to do and what it means to you, well, you've got the opportunity right here.
Yeah. I mean, universal design is really about making your assignments and your classroom as accessible to as many people as possible. That doesn't mean it is going to be accessible to everyone, but that means hopefully fewer people need additional accommodations because you're doing the work in the first place to put that into place. It's hard in a writing classroom, especially because some of the things that you usually want to do in universal design, you can't do because I have to grade writing. And one of the parts of universal design that's kind of key is giving people different ways to do their work. And I can't do that in writing. So it's definitely something that I am still trying to figure out. And I read a lot of articles about neurodivergent universal focused design for writing classrooms specifically, because it is kind of like additionally complicated in writing classes. But I always try to have like materials in multiple forms. There's a project that I was a part of at Oklahoma State University, making textbooks have read aloud options. And I've used parts of that textbook in my class this semester too. And always just like having things ready to be used by a screen reader. So like this morning I was making copies and I made sure I scanned it, put it into Adobe so that it was ready to be used by a screen reader. Because if you just scan something, that doesn't necessarily mean someone is going to be able to use it with their computer. So trying to think, the real thing with me though is since I was also a neurodivergent student, I try to think about the things I needed in class and also like teach with that in mind. So when we were talking about revising papers, I talked about my own difficulties revising papers and how I felt when people give me feedback and how actually really hard it is.
Yeah.
The story I told is about how I did 8 years of grad school, and I never let my husband read my writing, because when we were in college together, I didn't like how I felt when he gave me feedback. And he didn't know about what my dissertation was about until I was defending it, because I couldn't show it to him. It was so hard. And I say that to say, I know how hard it is to get this feedback. Literally so hard. The person I love the most in the world, I would not show him my writing. Or I wouldn't show it to him until it was too late for him to make some suggestions about what I could change, because it was so difficult, so painful.
Yeah.
You're bringing on a really interesting point, which is you understand what a number of our students go through when it comes to this writing and revising and the exposure you feel when you're showing your writing to other people. So even faculty deal with something like that.
Oh yeah. And the same thing is true. I sent a paper off yesterday to have somebody decide if they're going to publish it. And I was terrified, and my students all just submitted their papers to me to have me look at them. And I'm sure a lot of them felt the same way. But yeah, again, that's part of why I'm at Landmark, is because I feel like I do understand what a lot of students are going through and have been there too.
And if a student wanted to take a class with you, how do they find you? What sort of classes do you teach? How do we get in a class in hand?
Mostly I'm teaching writing classes. So this semester I'm teaching composition and rhetoric, writing 1011. Next semester I'm also teaching that, but I actually just got a course approved for the spring called Crip Linguistics, which is another area of my research.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's all focused on critical disability linguistics. So thinking about how ableist language works, but also looking at linguistics through a disability lens and adding disability and neurodiversity into the existing research that's going on in linguistics. It's actually a really new field. The seminal main paper got published 2 years ago. So it's really brand new as its own field. So it's exciting that Landmark is going to get to have that class before a lot of other places. Yeah. So if anybody is interested in languages and how they work and also disability, look for my class in the spring. It's going to be under the writing classes.
That's really cool. That sounds really exciting.
Yeah, I'm totally excited about it.
As far as, teaching going, right? How have you liked teaching here at Landmark?
I'm really enjoying it. My students are awesome. Some of them were excited to hear I was coming in here today, although they might have just been excited that I was letting them out early. But our first essay was this personal narrative, and I got some of the most beautiful papers I've ever seen. Some of them, I was almost crying when I got to grade them. They were so moving. And the fact that students were trusting me with such personal stories means a lot as well. As a faculty member, students don't have to trust you with that.
Yeah.
And so it really made me feel part of what's going on here for them to trust me with that. But I'm really enjoying all of my students here so far.
I'll go back, to something I really want to know, right?
Yeah.
I want to know more about, when you got your first Hello Kitty paraphernalia, right? I like Hello Kitty, but I've never, I've got a whole, not just Hello Kitty, right? But at home I've got a lot of, plushies and stuff.
Yeah.
I want to know about your Hello Kitty journey as well.
Yeah. So one of the first ones that's part of my current collection is this lunchbox that my parents got me when I was in high school or college. It's an old vintage style lunchbox, but it's not actually vintage. And it's Hello Kitty. And she's picking apples, which is, again, really funny because I'm allergic to apples. And actually, there's a lot of Hello Kitty art with apples in it, which is really ironic. So I actually have multiple things in my apartment with apples on them that I can't have apples.
Is that indicative to Hello Kitty and Japanese culture? What's going on there?
I don't know. Hello Kitty is kind of this schoolgirl. And so I think it's apples associated with school in that way. But yeah, somewhere along the line, it wasn't even, I visited Japan in college and I actually wasn't that into Hello Kitty then. I didn't come home with a million Hello Kitty things, which now I'm why didn't I?
Missed opportunity.
But I think somewhere along the way, I decided I wanted to be a Hello Kitty person. And so I became a Hello Kitty person. And so I have a collection of Hello Kitty Funko Pop at home. I have a couple of them in my office. I have a Hello Kitty light up light in my office too.
Hell yeah, you do.
And yeah, it's pretty cool. What else? Oh, and so one other thing. So I took 6 years to get my PhD. I started way before COVID and ended just this past summer. Mm-hmm. One of the things I did was I bought myself this graduation card of Hello Kitty in a cap and gown. Mm-hmm. And I set it aside and I said, I have this card to do whatever with, or like use as art, whatever, when I actually finish this degree. And I did. I pulled it out and it's hanging in my office now.
That's incredible.
That's one of the other things from being neurodivergent. I like to use rewards to get stuff done. And so I like to buy Hello Kitty blind boxes and stuff like that as a little treat. If I get my papers graded in time, I get to open Hello Kitty, or also Pusheen little blind boxes, which is another cute little cat. Yeah. It's funny, in real life I have dogs, but in my collecting life, I have cats.
How many dogs do you have?
I have 2 dogs, but they are not in Vermont. They're still in Oklahoma. So I miss them a lot. Mm-hmm. Molly and Peanut, they're good dogs. Mm-hmm. Actually, they've become a little naughty while I'm gone. They don't give it enough attention from my husband.
Yeah. Yeah, they miss you.
Yeah, they miss me and I miss them too. But luckily we have lots of dogs on campus.
Hann, I know we got to get out of here. You got to go teach.
I know, I got to go.
We got to, I guess, go do other faculty things. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.